Sometimes the answer is we don't know. And we don't yet know why a bus driver for Legacy High veered off a ramp at the airport and smashed into a pillar. As her family mourns her death, as many of the injured students go home after a night in the hospital, as Broomfield gathers to support the seriously injured football coaches, we are all left looking for the same answer as that bus driver's husband.
I just wanted to know what happened. I want to know what happened. It's hard for me to not know. I've always been right by your side. Every step of our life, we've been next to each other, and I don't know what happened, and that's the hard thing.
Joshua Chopper says his wife Carrie didn't have any known medical issues, wasn't on medication. She'd worked for the Adams 12 district for 4 years. In fact, she just passed a physical in May. One answer that we hope to eventually have is why her bus turned back toward the airport after picking up the football team yesterday. The person who knew the most obviously is gone. And the passengers in the best position to see what was happening on that bus, those coaches, Wayne Voorhees, Matt Krupa, Kyle Ryder, they're all still in the hospital. Legacy is scheduled to play its homecoming football game on Friday. A decision whether to cancel the game will be made by tomorrow morning. And a reminder today that these are high school athletes we're talking about, athletes whose health is closely scrutinized. The players who were on the bus when it crashed are all being evaluated for concussions to see if it's safe for them to return to football. Even as crime rates continue to go down around the country, jails continue to fill up. If you could look inside all those cells, you would notice that more and more of them are filled with women. It's a national trend. Our Steve Steger set out to find out if it's the case in Colorado.
I never had any guidance.
Krista Hicks is finally at a place in life where she's turning things around. Now, after 20 years in and out of Colorado jails from charges ranging from drugs to prostitution.
I've got depression. That's why I was doing the drugs and the alcohol. That's why I was out there just running around.
It was a mental health issue, which experts say may be one of the main reasons our prisons across the country are overflowing. A recent study found over the last 40 years, more and more women are getting locked up. Here in Colorado, the Department of Corrections gave us data dating back to 1983. 117 women were in prison then, compared to the more than 1,800 today.
So the pathways to jail for women are different than they are for men. Women typically come to jail for nonviolent crimes. Many times they're trauma related. They've seen some type of trauma within their life, as well as mental illness and drugs.
Chief Connie Coyle helps run Denver County's jail.
We haven't had a huge increase in the population as far as the number of women booked into the facility.
But she says 4 years ago, women represented 12% of the jail's population. Now that number is near 14%. A bigger population of inmates with different needs than their male counterparts, including a different style of jail management.
There really isn't enough programs, though. They need to add a little bit more to help out.
Krista found a program that is working, and now she's been out for 2 years.
No, I'm not going back.
For Next, I'm Steve Steger.
Denver County got approval for an $8 million expansion of its women's jail, and that should be open by fall of next year. Budget stories make my face numb, so we'll keep this quick. Denver's expecting more revenue next year from sales tax, fees, and such. Mayor Hancock said today he wants to spend it on 48 more police officers, more 911 dispatchers, and $5 million more for affordable housing. City Council has to give the okay. Nerd alert, if you want to dig into the details, we have 671 pages worth on our website. If you'll forgive a somewhat obscure country music reference, it was Jamie Johnson who sang, "The high cost of living ain't nothing like the cost of living high." Jamie Johnson and all of us in Colorado should take notice that the cost of getting high is now lower. Here's Ryan Harrer.
If I'm thinking of a real winner here, it's probably going to be the marijuana consumers.
Buying Primo pot is cheaper than ever at Medicine Man in Denver.
In the past year, I would say that our wholesale price for bud has dropped about $1,000 a pound. So
President of Medicine Man, Sally Vanderveer, says she could sell a pound for about $2,500 last year. Right now, it's $1,500. It's an extreme case for this large operation.
we grow about 7,000 pounds a year.
But it's clear prices are dropping across across the board.
I attribute that to nearly 600 cultivation licenses here in the state of Colorado.
There's always been a demand, but legalization created more supply than ever, and the green stuff literally grows on trees.
So I think what we're seeing is the marijuana industry, just like every other industry, is responding to supply and demand. But this is uncharted territory because we've never had a legal industry where we can see these fluctuations. And
Paul Seaborn is a professor at the University of Denver. The effect on business is more clear than the effect on the state.
It could go either way. If the demand for marijuana spikes as the price drops, we may actually get just as much tax revenue from greater volume going through the system.
If not, he says the industry could see higher marijuana taxes or more caps on production. If the price continues to drop, it'll be those small retailers and cultivators that won't be able to keep up.
What I anticipate will happen is that the larger companies will survive because they'll be able to make it through this lull period until we find some sort of equilibrium in the pricing.
For Next, I'm Ryan Harrell.
The state tracks the average market rate for a pound of pot, and it's just more than $1,800 at this point. That's the lowest price in the 2 years that they've kept those numbers. Hey, may I make a recommendation? This is where we point you towards something, anything that is not ours, but is a really good read. Check out the Fort Collins, Colorado piece about Treyas Gerals, former CSU football player who admits that he was high on marijuana in all but one game he ever played for the Rams. He says that he was using the marijuana to fight chronic pain. Gerals does have a medical marijuana card. He had a financial aid deal, too, which is why he says that he left the football team because he was afraid that he would get drug tested and lose that money. Gerals is now 23. He grows marijuana. The Coloradoan piece looks at the NCAA's reluctance to let student athletes medicate with marijuana. It's really interesting stuff. The link to the story is on the Next Facebook page. Hillary Clinton may or may not have a health issue. The campaign says it's pneumonia. She certainly has a secrecy issue. It's her Achilles heel with voters, and her campaign tripped over it again yesterday when they didn't disclose her most recent illness, even immediately after she appeared to collapse at a 9/11 memorial service and was pulled into a van. So, politics is about give and take, which is why we asked our political experts, Republican and Democrat, if they would trade Hillary Clinton's medical records for Donald Trump's tax returns. Call it a grand transparency bargain.
Yes, I think that if given the choice, I would absolutely trade Hillary Clinton's medical records for Donald Trump's tax records because more information is better for the voters than less. And especially with what happened with Hillary Clinton this weekend, I think that we need to know, the voters deserve to know what kind of health issues she has. And particularly when we're talking about pneumonia and viruses, if there's any chronic illnesses underlying that.
I would absolutely trade Donald Trump's tax returns for Hillary Clinton's medical records, as she's offered to and slated to release them anyway. And at this moment, we don't know what's in Donald Trump's tax returns. It could be payments from Middle Eastern or Russian despots. It could be the fact that he's not actually a billionaire and just simply a multimillionaire, or plenty of other things. So yeah, if given the opportunity, I would absolutely trade Secretary Clinton's health records for Donald Trump's tax records.
I think we just made a deal right here on Next. The town of Silverton, which is about 6.5 hours southwest of Denver, is working on getting up to speed. There's a population there of about 600 people year-round, and none of them had high-speed internet until very recently. This has been 15 years in the making. The school got connected in the spring. The courthouse and town hall are also now dialed in. The town administrator says everyone in Silverton should have high speed, meaning all the homes and businesses, by the end of October, or as they say there, by the time the snow flies. About 10,000 entrepreneurs are in Colorado right now for Denver Startup Week. Coders, developers, tech geeks. And Denver would love for some of them to just stay here. It's why the Downtown Denver Partnership trotted out a report today highlighting that nearly 8% of businesses in Denver are tech startups. 165 tech startups were founded in the city last year, and more than 4,500 people work for tech startups in Denver. It's free to check out the Denver Startup Week. If you're interested, use the Google machine for details. Next, a lively conversation with the lively Republican running for U.S. Senate.
I will debate Michael Bennet anywhere, anytime.
But the Post can't the media as a third opponent in the race.
Well, I described the Denver Post.
No, you said the media.
Well, the media is, but I've not declined any other media interviews. That's why we're here.
Sweet revenge for the most talked about story ever to air on Next, and the kid who happened to dig up a dinosaur on his vacation in Colorado.
I love Next. I like the fact that the stories are a little more in depth and that they talk to different people with concerns. And I've almost been taking pictures of dog poo in bags neatly placed in places where people are 10 feet from a trash can and don't put it in.
Gusty and cooler today with that mid-morning cool front. I'm meteorologist Kathy Sabin, but still plenty of sunshine and so beautiful in the Colorado high country today where most of the shower activity has been seen. And along the Front Range, a mix of clouds and sunshine. Our high today in the mid-70s as compared to yesterday's high of 90. The temperature trend, we are 20 degrees cooler this hour than we were 24 hours ago, which is pretty impressive, and we'll go even cooler tomorrow. Tracking some weak showers coming in from the southwest, high base storms, wind and lightning. Not a lot of rain, but that will change tomorrow with a second surge of cool air from the north. How cool? That's a winter weather advisory posted south of Billings. As this system moves in from the north overnight, you'll wake up to cloudy skies. There'll be some fog around the area and a better chance of showers tomorrow. And some of those showers could turn heavy by this time tomorrow night. As we take a look at the Denver forecast for the rest of this evening, there is still the chance for rain, gusty and a cool evening with temperatures in the mid-40s. So kind of a cool start to your Tuesday. Temperatures will warm close to 60 in the afternoon and then maybe 66 if we're lucky by about 3 o'clock. Good chance of showers tomorrow. It's slightly drier on Wednesday, but temperatures continue a little cooler than average as we move through the second half of this week.
Darryl Glenn is down 15 points in the polls, and he isn't worried. Some fellow Republicans are. They're concerned that his campaign against sitting Senator Michael Bennet hasn't really taken off since his primary win. Glenn and I sat down today.
Well, I don't look at polls. It's about results. And every single time people have had an opportunity to vote for me, we've been on top.
The polls would suggest the result is you're going to get smoked. So I guess my question is, for concerned Republicans who are watching, for independents who are trying to figure things out, what is the message that says, I'm resonating, I'm connecting with people?
All you have to do is look at Michael Bennett's voting record. When you start asking people, do they think the Iran nuclear deal was a good vote? Do you think the Affordable Care Act was a good vote? He's willing to double down on those issues. And these are things that are critical to Coloradans. He's on the wrong side of them. If anybody's going to get smoked, it's going to be Michael Bennet.
Michael Bennet has a reputation for being somebody who's willing to work across the aisle in Washington. Is that a good thing?
Well, Michael Bennett's idea of working across the aisle is to get Republicans to vote for the Iran nuclear deal. That's not reaching across the aisle. That's working against the interest of Colorado. When you're sitting down across negotiating with somebody and they tell you that they want to kill you, why would you enter into agreement with that?
So you wouldn't talk to our enemies?
No, you're talking about entering into an agreement where you're actually giving them leverage, which you're seeing right now that they're using. And if you're doing any sort of agreement, if somebody across from you says that they want to kill you or kill one of your allies, why would you enter in it? That should have been a deal breaker from day one.
During a recent campaign stop in Fort Morgan, you told the crowd there that you would, as a Christian, serve the Lord, and in doing so would serve them as citizens. What happens when God's will and the voters' will goes in two different directions?
Well, what people need to understand that, they coexist. People aren't treating one another with grace, mercy, and respect. And that's the one founding principle when you start thinking about why, what motivates me through faith is it allows me to have a conversation with somebody and learn from them what the issues are, but then I can still treat them with respect and we leave there with a greater understanding of one another.
So that's how you discern the will of the voter, by talking to people. How do you, Darryl Glenn, discern the will of God?
Well, you have conversations with God. You pray regularly. I think that's extremely important. It's the foundation of who I am. It's the foundation of this campaign, and I'm proud of that. And to me, you're always growing. You're always trying to improve yourself. And, it's a humbling experience because you don't put yourself up on a pedestal. You realize you serve a higher purpose.
Darryl Glenn, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it very much. Welcome here anytime. Our extended interview with Glenn discussed immigration policy. He says secure the border before we even talk about a path to citizenship. Education policy. He says give the states the money and power, even if that means eliminating the Department of Education. And we talked media bias, why he was talking to us, but refuses to have a conversation with the Denver Post. You can see our full interview on the next Facebook page. We should note there's an invitation for Senator Bennet to come on anytime. We love Q&A around here, but if we had to choose, there's only one letter that no one can stop seeing. And the quest to ski Colorado, 12 months a year. This next story is shamelessly stolen from Reddit, and why not? Because Redditors raised an interesting question about the squiggly line that shows up in the center of some Colorado license plates. If you look at it, it kind of looks like a silvery DNA helix. The DMV tells us that's a security threat. It's not unlike the security threads that are laced into our paper money. It's designed to make the license plate harder to counterfeit. It was added in Colorado 2 years ago. It's not just here. You'll find it running vertically through most license plates in North America for the last couple of years. Also runs horizontally through European license plates because they've got to be different. One story on Next has received more feedback than any other. When we pointed out that Colorado has been churning out license plates featuring the letter Q after skipping Q's entirely for years. We can blame Steve Steger for that. He's the one who did the story, and he recently found out that karma is real.
I'll say it at the outset. I knew this was going to happen. I knew when I first asked the DMV about Q's and Colorado license plates that I would soon be the proud owner of one. I was due for a new license plate after all. Now the next time you're Q spotting, you might be spotting me. By the way, the nice woman at the Denver DMV counter says a lot of people are talking about Q's nowadays, so I guess I owe them and all of you an apology.
We thought it might be confirmation bias, but it's not. They really are on plates all over the place these days. So you can ski year-round in Colorado if you're really willing to work for it. Up on St. Mary's Glacier, where the temperatures were near the 70s last weekend, there was still snow on parts of the mountain, enough snow for Joe Godrow and his friends. They climbed up the glacier in their skis and came down in some form or fashion. Joe's on a personal quest to go skiing every month this year.
Well, this is going to be my 12th month in a row skiing in Colorado. And then starting in October, it'll be my 13th, then 14th, and then 15th, and so on. We all love skiing. That's it. It's pretty simple. Every month it's been good. It's nice when you can wear shorts.
I love skiing too, but not that hard. Joe and his friends plan to get out to A Basin next, assuming that it opens next month. Otherwise, they're climbing somewhere. Next question comes from Joey Anxman. What's up with all the tiny white moths in northern Colorado? There are millions in South Foco, his words, not ours. People hate when I say Foco. North Loveland and West Greeley. It's the vagabond crambus. It's a type of sod webworm. You say what and what? An entomologist at CSU says about a month ago, these guys started out as caterpillars. They were eating our lawn grasses. Not enough to do any discernible damage then, so the vagabonds don't really pose much of a damage issue now that they're moths. And the experts say they should go away in the next few weeks once they lay their eggs. And that's what's up with all the little white moths. We're back with Colorado's very young accidental archaeologist. An 8-year-old kid already has an excellent start on a college admission essay, provided that he wants to go on to study dinosaurs. He dug up an Apatosaurus skull during a public dino dig in Rabbit Valley. That's close to the Colorado-Utah border, about 40 minutes west of Grand Junction. He was with his grandmother when he found the dinosaur. And after Lachlan helped dust off the top of the snout, crews from the museums of Western Colorado then came in to do the heavy lifting, almost 2 months of excavation. The skull is really quite rare. Researchers at the museum think there are only 3 other nearly complete skulls like that in the world.
We just laid it to the side, and then once they saw it, they figured out that we found an Apatosaurus bone, and they really got our attention. Yes, I love dinosaurs. I want to be a geneticist when I grow up, so I can bring dinosaurs back to life.
Aim high, Lachlan Barrett, who's from Florida, by the way. He was on vacation when he found the dinosaur. And we figured out which schools you should keep an eye on. U.S. News & World Report says best for genetics and molecular biology, Harvard, MIT, and the University of California, San Francisco. The skull will be prepared by staff at the Dinosaur Journey Museum in Fruita over the winter. So those dino dig days aren't just window dressing. Interesting. We'll see you next time.